Good morning. How are you all? Keeping all right? Good. Well, another video. We're in widescreen. Hey, look, widescreen. Because apparently YouTube might like it better like this. Hang on, I get the middle. There we go. Look, oh, that's better. So yeah, we're in widescreen today. We're gonna have another go. We're gonna see if we can sort of have another video recorded. Housekeeping first then. Don't forget, hit the like and the subscribe, and we'll put a little ting ting thing down the bottom there somewhere. Like and subscribe, and it doesn't cost you nothing. It doesn't cost you a penny to subscribe, so don't forget to do that. Share it with people, tell people about it, put it on Facebook or WhatsApp, and have you seen this crazy bloke in a van with a weird Suffolk accent? Let's get everybody hearing about me, hey? I'll see how many people we can tell. That'd be all right. Yeah. Oh, one more little bit, one more little thing. Let me just do this. Somebody out there in YouTube world, is going to understand this. See? Green t-shirt. They understand. The rest of you won't. The rest of you think I've gone mad, but trust me, there is somebody out there that's going to understand that, because they told me off. So, yeah. There, myself look neat again. I ruffled it all up. Look, they told me off. So, yeah. Plus as well, look. Excuse my watch beeping. Haircut, bit of a shave. Looked a bit of a scruffy so-and-so, didn't I? So, yeah. We had a little trim up. Got me summer coat on, my summer plumage. Now the weather's improving, and that's been lovely. That's been nice. We've had some really nice weather. I was fishing middle of the week at Dunwich, and that was gorgeous. I was fishing on the beach in just a t-shirt. That was beautiful, and I caught a few fish. That's always a bonus. Right, done the like and subscribe. Oh, I know. We set a little target last week, didn't we? We set a little target. We said 75 people, 75 subscribers, didn't we? Guess what? We did it. We did it. Yeah, we did it. We've got 75 subscribers now, so we hit the target. We've done well, and thank you very much to all of you. And I genuinely, from the heart, I mean that. Thank you to all of you. Really appreciate it. As I said, click the little button. That costs nothing to subscribe. You're not subscribing to pay me any money. I only wish you were, but you're not, I can assure you. So yeah, hit the little subscribe button, and yeah, should we set another goal? Shall we? That'd be all right, wouldn't it? I've got to remember to look up here. I keep looking in the middle and that look funny. I've got to look up there. Should we set a little goal, shall we? I tell you what then, let's say 100 people, shall we? Let's go for 100 people. We'll just another little goal, little one like that. Little steps, take little baby steps. 100 people. Let's see if we can get to 100 subscribers on this channel. Then I know us really rolling. So we'll try that. We'll get to 100 subscribers. How's that? Well, what happened this week? What happened? Well, what a week. Do you remember I said I had that MoT thing on Monday? Yeah, that didn't go so well. I weren't disastrous, but it didn't go so well. Basically, that failed. It failed on the MoT, and it looked a bit dire because the guy that was going to do it only failed minor. It was just a handbrake wasn't pulling up hard enough, basically. So it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too major. It just, that wasn't pulling up as hard as it had to on the handbrake. But the people that did it for me were really busy, so we weren't sure how long that was going to take them to fit me in. Yeah, that nearly meant I had to spend quite a bit of time on an industrial estate, parked up, and we were getting a bit low on gas, and we were getting a bit, I hadn't bought any heat and oil in, so I was a bit low on heating and different bits and pieces. But thankfully, and I'll say his name, but hashtag I ain't sponsored, they don't pay me to say this, Bob Turner, RH Turners, he went out his way to get the van sorted out for me the same day. Despite being really busy, despite having loads of work on, they got it back into the workshop for me, and they worked away on it, and they managed to get it sorted out, which was fantastic. In fact, they worked after hours. I'm sure they did work after hours to get it done, because I don't think I got out of it about 5:30, 5:45. So super pleased with that. Super pleased. They understand. They're van life friendly basically, and they understand that they can't just leave it sitting on a ramp in their workshop, because I've got to have somewhere to live. So they went out their way. Bob Turner did it himself, and he went out of his way to get it done. So heartfelt thanks. I really can't say enough of a thank you. That was fantastic. And I did ask him, and they don't mind if I put them on this video. I'll stick a photograph of his van up here. Would you believe it? When I looked in the phone, I couldn't find a picture of his van, so we'll put a photo of the banner above his door instead. He'll be all right with that, I'm sure. And yeah, go and see Bob Turner. Go and see R.H. Turner's. Get your work done there. Tell him I sent you. Tell him the Suffolk Vanlifer. Tell him Stacey sent you. I think I've caused poor Bob some sleepless nights over the last few months. He's done a little bit of work on this van. It has wanted a bit doing to it. I've been lucky. That ain't wanted much doing up until now, and I've had it nearly 4 years, so we've been very lucky. But it has wanted a little bit doing of recent. A previous owner bodged it up a bit, so some of the work needed some huffing and puffing and messing about, and God knows why. But Bob did it. He's brilliant. He sorted it all out for me. I cannot say thank you enough to him. He has been fantastic with my vehicle. They're fantastic. The prices are not too eye-watering, and they're fantastic. They are very good, very, very good. He's been there a long time, and he knows his stuff. Very good mechanic. So yeah, that's it basically. Like I say, it failed on its handbrake, but he managed to get it back in there, and he managed to get it through for me. So we're done. That's it. We're good now until April of next year, I think. MoT is sorted out, and road tax is paid, insurance is paid. So we're good. We're good. We're happy. It's sorted out, and I've got a year's motoring ahead of me, which is awesome, which is fantastic. So yeah, that's really good. So I have worked out a budget. I won't put it in this week's video. I might do it the next week or two, but I've gone through a complete budget. I've dug out the diaries, and I've crunched the numbers, and I've added up what I think that'll cost, and what it cost me in heat, and what it cost me in gas, and all the rest of it for a year. So we'll do it for you, because I know that interests people. I know people like to sort of know how much it costs to live in a van. So yeah, I will do it. It won't be this week, but we'll probably do it another week or two. Maybe next week we'll do it. We'll see what's going on. We'll see how disastrous my week turned out to be, because yeah, it has a habit of doing that, doesn't it? We'll see. We'll see what happens. Otherwise, we end up with 5-hour videos. Right. I had a thought, and I just said about doing the budget thing. We'll do a little bit each week if I can, of some sort of interest. Some sort of interest to either to van lifers, because they find it interesting, or to people that want to be van lifers, because they sometimes find it interesting if we do a sort of a little bit that's van related. So I figured this week maybe we do a little bit about all the solar and the electrics in here, because that'd be quite interesting for people. So I've done a little video. I've put a little bit together. So if I hand you over to other me, he's going to talk to you, and he's going to talk to you about the van videos and about the solar. Oh heck, we're doing well. I've messed it up already. I can't get the hang of this talk, and I've got to put a little arrow on there that tell me to talk to the right bit, or I keep looking there instead of up there, and then I'm not looking at you, I'm looking, oh, that's crazy. I'm like a bunny rabbit in the headlights just before the car ran into me. Yes, so as I said, done a little video all about the solar and the electrics and stuff. So I'll hand you over to me a little while ago that did all of this, and we'll tag that little video in the middle, and then I'll come back and we'll talk a bit more in a minute. All right, we'll speak to you in a minute. Bye. Right, first things first, solar panels. And look at this state of these two up on the roof of my van. I need to get up there and give them a clean and sort them out. Bear with me a minute, I'll put them right for you. That's one cleaned up, you see. That give you a side-by-side comparison of how filthy they'd got. Right, that's better. Look, they're all nice and clean, boy. You want to keep them clean because they work better. When they get all filthy dirty, they don't work as well. Right, that's two 175 watt solar panels up there. So for 350 watts total. They're monocrystalline because they're a little bit more efficient than polycrystalline. And they're wired up in series, and that way I get more volts but not as many amps. That'll become more apparent in a little while, but it's because the box that charges up the battery likes more voltage, so that's why they're wired up that way for you. All right then. Right, next bit, we'll go downstairs and we'll go in the little cupboard and I'll show you the electric. One last thing before we talk about the other bits. If you notice, those solar panels are bolted onto there with good solid metal brackets, and they're bolted onto pieces of uni strut that's bolted to the roof of the van. I hear about people sticking solar panels to the roofs or asking if you can with things like Sikaflex. Please God, don't do that. Bolt your panels down. They're big and they're heavy, and if one flies off the roof of your van on a motorway and hits somebody, you're going to be in big trouble with the police, believe you me. So please, bolt your panels on there. Right, the first box we'll have to talk about is that one on the right there, the one with Rover written on the front in blue. Look, that's a charge controller, solar charge controller. That takes the 40 volts that my panels make and turns it into something like 13 and a bit 14 volts that my battery wants. Okay, that particular one's a 30 amp by 100 volt one. That doesn't mean a lot to most of you. It's the right size for the panels I've got basically, and it's an MPPT controller. There are two types of controllers, MPPTs and PWMs. MPPTs are basically a lot more efficient. They're sort of, I think that one's about 95%. PWMs aren't as efficient, but they are cheaper. Personally, go for the MPPT. That'll cost you more money, but you get more of what you make in your solar panels in your battery, which after all is what you're trying to do. All right, next bit. Right, the next bit in the system, the important bit, that's the bit down the bottom, surrounded by polystyrene to keep it warm. That's my leisure battery. Now, they're different to starter batteries. You have to buy a different type of battery. Starter batteries give a short little oomph. For starting engines, these batteries are meant for a long, slow discharge. You can't swap the two over. If you just put a starter battery in there, you'll kill it in no time. It'll hate being slowly discharged. That particular one is a lithium battery. It's not a huge size battery. They are more expensive, but they have a much longer life. Lead batteries are a lot cheaper, but they don't last as long, and you've got to take a bit more care of them. You've got to look after them. But yeah, that's a lithium battery sitting down there. That basically supplies all the electricity to my vehicle. That supplies everything that I need, either 12 volt or, as I'll discuss in a minute, 240 volt, which I've got as well. But yeah, that's a lithium battery there. All right then, next bit. Right, the next bit is the box in the middle, right, with DC to DC written on it. And that's exactly what it is. That's a DC to DC battery charger. Basically, when that's switched on, and I leave it off in the summer, but when that's switched on, the power that my alternator makes, that little box will use that to charge my lithium battery. Now, I have to have one of those because you can't connect a lithium battery straight to your alternator for various reasons. You can use a split charge relay if you've just got lead batteries, and that's easier and cheaper. But that's a very good one. That produces 40 amps of charge into my battery. So, that'll charge my battery up pretty quickly. Yep, that's what that is. That's a battery charger. Right, and the last major bit in this lot is that box you can see on the side there on the left-hand side with 1000 watt written on it. That's an inverter. That will take 12 volt electrics out of my leisure battery, and that'll turn that into 240 volts, but only up to 1000 watts. That's not a very big one, that. It gives me a little bit of 240 volt electrics in the van, which I just use if I need to charge up a drill battery or something like that, or if I got something that won't run on 12 volts. I try and do everything in 12 volt because it's much more efficient. but occasionally there are things that need 240 volt, but it doesn't get used very often. I very, I very rarely switch it on, but it's nice to have it if you need it. It's always handy to have a bit of 240 volt electrics. So yeah, that's what the box on the left is. Right, all that's really left, look, is that rat's nest of wire that you can see there. There's a couple of big switches in the middle, so I can switch off the solar panel and I can disconnect the batteries from everything. And there's various big fuses. The little silver box you can see in the very, very top of that photo, that's a little Bluetooth thing so that my MPPT can talk to a little app on my mobile phone, but again, that's a bit of a gimmick. I don't use it very much. Basically, if you get your system right, once you set your system up, it sort of just works and you stop worrying about it after a while. Everything just kind of runs and it's sort of easy. The other bit you can see, where the black wires come in, there's a little thing called a shunt down there, and that was what made my flashing little green screen out the front work that tells me how much is in my batteries. But that's basically about all there is, just a few switches to switch on things like lights and stuff, and that's my solar system. It's not that complicated, but some people find them interesting, so I thought I'd do you a little video about them. Right, back to main me. Right, did he finish waffling on about solar panels? Like I say, that might interest some people, that might not, but I thought I'd stick it on there because, sort of thing people like to watch, They like to know how the things work in these fans, so that's what we'll do. One of the other things I got asked in the comments, somebody asked me if I'd sort of go through some of the pros and cons of living in a van, some of the pluses and the minuses of living in a van. So yeah, I've got some notes down here, so if I keep doing that, that's because I'm having to read it off some notes because I'm getting old and the memory's not as good as it used to be, and I sort of forget. I've got to keep remembering, look up there, don't look there, look up there, look there. Oh my word, this is crazy. Right, pros. We'll do the pros first, shall we? We'll do the good points of living in a van, because that's what you want to hear. You want to hear the bad stuff. Let's do the pros. First one, freedom. Freedom from a lot of things. Freedom to travel about as I like. That's always nice. I like being able to go where I like and go and do nice things and park up next to the beach and park up in the forest and halfway up the side of a mountain, I suppose. So that's nice. That's the sort of freedom. Hopefully we're going to do a bit more of that this year, because we didn't do quite as much last year as we wanted. But as you might have heard in a previous video, and there are previous videos by the way, if you're just watching this, then go back and have a look. There's 2 other videos at the minute, 2 more as well, so go back and have a look at them. Yeah, that'd be all right. So yeah, we're going to try and travel a bit more this time. We're going to try and do a few more things, go to a few more places, and yeah, and document it. We'll stick it on here, we'll stick it on YouTube, and why not? We'll have a go. So we'll do a bit of that. And it's freedom as well. It's freedom from bills as well, freedom from all those worries and worrying about paying rent and worrying about paying a mortgage. We're free of those sort of things, so that's nice, which sort of means that we don't have to work. I don't have to work as hard anymore as I used to. I've cut down the hours a little bit recently. Pay packet's gone down a bit, but yeah, I've run the numbers. We'll be all right. We'll be fine. God, I hope so. We will. Yeah, we'll be all right. So yeah, some freedom from the money worries and stuff. Still got some worries, like the MoT worries and all the other bits and pieces. The community as well. Community is a fantastic thing. Fantastic thing in the van life. Vanlifers all seem to be a friendly bunch. They're a wonderful lot. If you've watched, like I said in my first video, I've made dozens and dozens of fantastic friends in vans, and they are really good mates and they are really nice people, and there's lots more to meet. I'm still meeting people. I met some people the other day in Harwich that were really nice, and I met, yeah, it's some people in Felixstowe, and yeah, it's nice to meet people like that. And the van lifers tend to be a really friendly bunch, and we sort of we'll look out for each other a bit and help each other out a bit if we can, and always willing to sort of share a coffee and have a chat, whatever else, and that's lovely. And that is nice. And, that just seemed to be, because we live in vans, we sort of have that thing in common. We have that bond with each other. We're like a giant family out there. So that's always fantastic. And I'm looking forward to meeting loads of other van lifers this year, and that'll be really nice. I can't wait to meet some of the more, some of the other van lifers out there, as well as all my mates I've got now. So yeah, freedom, money, and community. Yeah, yeah. Some of it's not all good though. Some of it's not as fantastic. There's the downsides. Let's talk about them. They're not so good. Let's talk about the downsides of van life. Some of the downsides, you're constantly having to look around. You've got to find water all the time. That sounds like such a trivial thing. If you live in a house, you open your tap up, you just open the tap and water comes out, and you don't think about it. And you don't really consider it much. But when you have to go and find water, and you have to go and, when you're running low, you've got to go somewhere where you can get it. And we got all kinds of weird places to find water. We got cemeteries and all kinds of places where you can find sort of outside taps and get a bit of water. So yeah, you got to find that. LPG, like I said, a bit of gas to fill up my little gas tank. And the local garage to me hadn't got any the other week, so I had to trek halfway around the country looking for blooming gas. Otherwise, you're eating cold food and just salad and all that kind of thing. So that's a bit of a pain, and bit of an bit of an awkward one. But you got to try and empty your loo as well. Another thing of living in a house. You see, when you flush the old loo, you don't think about it. That just disappears and that's gone, and you don't ever worry about it anymore. But of course, when you're in a van, you've got to worry about it. You've got to worry about where it goes. I don't know if I'll ever do a video about that. I don't think I want to, really. You just leave it to your imagination. It's a chemical loo. You just leave it to your imagination. So, yeah, that's one of the drawbacks, is having to hunt around and find stuff. You don't have to worry about stuff like electricity so much, but you do have to worry about what's in your batteries. In that video I've just done, you have got to worry if there's enough left in your battery, especially in the winter when there's no sunlight and the solar don't work and the rest of it. As to, can you leave your lights on? Have you got enough batteries to run your heater all night? That can be a problem sometimes, and that's that. Yeah. There's another drawback. I don't like to spend too much time in one spot. I like to move about. I like to keep moving around. I try and only literally spend a night in each place. Sometimes I spend two, but I try and only spend one night in each place. And as a result of that, you can sort of, yeah, you can spend your life chasing around from one spot to the other. You sometimes feel like you haven't got any stability. Does that make sense? When you live in a nice house and you live in a street and you've got a little bit of stability, you always know there's that one little place there that you can come back to. Well, you ain't always sort of got that in a van, because you're constantly on the move. You're constantly moving about. As a side note to that, some of the places now, we're losing places to park up. We're finding now that places we can't go in them anymore. You start to find height barriers put up, and just starting to find no overnight parking signs, and and all this sort of thing. And so it can be a bit harder. That can be a bit tricky, because places you used to use, you can't use anymore. I won't name any names, but there are some people that look after a lot of trees, and they seem to have fallen out with the van lifers a bit recently, and they're making that a little harder for us. Not stopping us, but us just getting a little harder. But I won't point fingers and name names. Well, they'll shut them all, and then I'll be done. So yeah, places like that are getting harder to find. A town not far from me, they've talked about charging for their car parks now. They've been free forevermore, and they've talked about charging for their car parks. And as a result of that, that means that they won't want us in there overnight, so we won't be able to use any of those car parks in that town. Just little things like that. That just, yeah, sometimes that get a little harder. And that all kind of go into what I think, well, what I call vanxiety. van anxiety, because you do get it a bit. You know, you get anxious about whether you can find stuff. I'm 3.5 years down the road now, so I'm not as anxious about it as I used to be. But you know, you still worry a little bit. You still sweat a little bit about things. You know, sometimes the water's getting a bit low, and you think, oh my god, I got to find a tap. Sometimes in the depths of winter, there all the taps outside are froze up, and you can't use them. Or the gas is running low, and the garage ain't got the gas, and you've got to start hunting around for the next place to go and get some, and all that sort of thing. So, yeah. Oh, and the other thing, when I say about the places we can't park, sometimes you just sort of fall out with the locals. Would that be a nice way of putting it? Not everybody likes van lifers, and not everybody thinks I should be in their street or their beauty spot or their car park. And so you can sometimes get a nasty note put under your windscreen wiper basically telling you to clear off. And sometimes you get that 1 o'clock in the morning knock on the door, and sometimes that's from the police because somebody's phoned up and complained about you, and sometimes that's from a local who, you know, van lifers do get assaulted now and again. I'd like, you know, thankfully it's very rare. Now it is rare. There's a lot of us out there, and the huge majority of us don't have any problems, but some of them do. So yeah, that gives us a bit of van anxiety. Yeah, a bit of anxiety. So yeah, there's some of the pros and cons. That's sort of the pros and cons of it. So yeah, this video's probably dragged on long enough for 1 week. We'll sort of wrap it up a little bit. So like I say, 75 was fantastic. Let's see if we can't get to 100 for next week, and that'd be amazing. And do all the like and subscribey stuff, and I'll stick the little buttony thing down the bottom here, and that'll click and ting and whatever it does. And yeah, we'll have another go. We'll see you again next week. We'll put this one up for Sunday morning, and we'll see you again the week after, and I'll let you know all the crazy things I've been getting up to. And yeah, we'll see you down the road, boy. You mind how you go together. All right? Speak to you later. Cheers. Bye.